Welcome inside the very first episode of Breaking Bats, a not-for-long media podcast. My name is Justin Ayers, and I will be co-hosting and producing on this endeavor. And I'm super excited to be working with someone who has played in parts of 3 MLB seasons, a man who knows a thing or two about breaking some bats. It is Brian O'Grady. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing good, Justin. I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited about what we have in store on this podcast, and I can't wait for it to get out there and for everybody to hear it.
Absolutely. This is really cool. So you were a guest on Colin Thompson's Not For Long Media podcast. That's how I got to know you last year. But I wanted to start with just a little bit about you and, take me through your career timeline.
Yeah, so I grew up right outside of Philadelphia. I attended Archbishop Wood High School where I met Colin. That was our connection. Continued to play baseball at Rutgers University. Was drafted by the Cincinnati Reds in 2014 in the 8th round. Ended up making my major league debut with Cincinnati in 2019, was traded to Tampa Bay after that season. So I spent 2020 with Tampa Bay, and 2021 signed a free agent deal with the San Diego Padres and spent last year there. All great experiences. I loved it. But this year I signed to go play in the MPB in Japan for the Seibu Lions. So really excited about that. It's going to be a totally new experience and a really good opportunity for me.
Absolutely. So your time in Japan is going to be a component of this podcast, talking about the transition from the MLB to the MPB. What went into your decision-making process after 2021 to decide to go over and play for the Saitama Seibu Lions?
There's a few things that went into it. But most importantly for me was the opportunity to consistently play and not in AAA. In my big league career, it's been a lot of inconsistent at bats. That's hurt me to a degree. So if I go over there and play really well, it'll help me to be able to come back here at some point and play in the major leagues again. And aside from that, it's great baseball over there. They love it. They're very passionate about it. And it's just going to be a really good experience. So I'm just excited to kind of dive into the whole culture and all the stuff that's going on over there and play baseball, of course.
Absolutely. It's going to be so much fun keeping up with your travels internationally. So for this podcast, it's a baseball podcast primarily, but it's also your podcast. So most of the guests are going to be guys that you've gotten to know from playing the game. Sometimes we'll venture outside of that, but just how excited are you to have a podcast and have the opportunity to share some experiences and talk shop with some of your friends?
I'm very excited about it because I think there's so many guys in the game that are really interesting and are funny, and people just don't really get to see those sides of players because when they're giving interviews after the games or whatever, it's really just more of a cliche. These are the things I'm supposed to say, so I'm going to say them. What I hope on this podcast is that people are going to get to see the authentic side of players and hear some funny stories. And just things that go on behind the scenes, because really a lot of guys do have those personalities and enjoy doing that stuff. There's just a time and a place for it. So it's been fun to talk to some guys already. Definitely excited about some of the guests we've already had and that we have lined up in the future. I know the first 2 episodes are going to be Ben and Woods, the Ben and Woods radio show in San Diego. And Joe Musgrove, San Diego pitcher, threw the first no-hitter for the Padres this year. And then after that, we got players, we have people involved in baseball, we'll have people not involved in baseball, but definitely really interesting people such as Jared Carabas from Barstool, Justin Sua, TJ Antone, just to name a few, Frank Schwindel, and there's tons more. But I'm really excited for people to hear from them and just kind of hear the dialogue that goes back and forth.
Absolutely. It's been so much fun doing this. So this is going to kind of put an end to episode 0. Like Brian said, stay tuned for all of the superstar guests that we have coming along the way. Be sure to check us out on social media. We are at Breaking Bats Pod on Twitter and Instagram. This is going to be so much fun, man. So I can't wait to get started on this journey with you and to follow your journey abroad in Japan. So I'm looking forward to it.
Same here, man. It's going to be a journey, that's for sure. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to me and you sharing all of it with everybody that listens.
I love it. All right. Well, yeah, like you said, stay tuned for episodes 1 and 2, Ben and Woods and Joe Musgrove. And for that, my name is Justin Ayers. He is Brian O'Grady. And thank you for listening.